And I just got this, put this down, like bring women into this room because this is so real estate, so perfect for women. It gives you time, flexibility, freedom, to be the women, the wives, the moms we want to be. And so nobody was there.
So you want to be a real estate investor, but where do you start? How do you know what information and sources to trust? That's where I come in. I'm Jonny, and this is the Investor Relations Real Estate Podcast. Hey guys, real quick, before we start, go to investwithkatani.com and download my free ebook, Is Commercial Real Estate Recession Proof? Now to today's show. What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Investor Relations Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Jonny, and I am joined today by Monick Halm. Monick is the founder of Real Estate Investor Goddesses. She's an educator and advocate for female real estate investors and has a mission to help 1 million women achieve financial freedom through real estate. Monick is herself a real estate investor and syndicator and owns, together with her investors, over 1,000 rental doors across 13 states. She's also a #1 best-selling author, TEDx speaker, podcast host, real estate strategy mentor, wife, and mother of 3 amazing kids. Monick, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Jonathan.
Absolutely. Very excited to chat today. You have an awesome story. Like I told you offline, I was doing a little research, but take us back to the beginning. What were you doing before all this? And, was there a light bulb moment? Kind of take us through all that.
Yeah. So I was not raised at all to be a real estate investor. I mean, I was taught that you go to school, you go to grad school, and then if you're going to be successful, you're going to become a doctor, lawyer, professor, engineer. And like that was the plan. And I was a dutiful daughter. So of those choices, I thought law was probably the best fit. So I ended up going to law school and ended up in a big law firm, 6-figure income, partnership track. I was, doing exactly what I was meant to be doing. And I was miserable. I just hated my life. To give you a sense of how miserable, one Tuesday morning, I've been having this excruciating abdominal pain. So I went to the ER and the doctor told me that my appendix had ruptured and then I'd have to be in the hospital for several days. I ended up being in the hospital for 9 days. And then I'd have at least 30 days afterwards to recover. And when he first told me that, my first thought was, oh, thank God I don't have to go to work for at least 30 days.
Wow.
Yeah, that was my next thought. Wow, wait, that's bad. It's like, how can I be that unhappy that a life-threatening, excruciating illness is better than being at work? When, and I'd done everything right. I'd done everything that I was meant to do, right? Law, Ivy League law school. I did all the things and I was that miserable. So I did go on this very circuitous journey to try to find a better path, and real estate kind of came in, sort of snuck its way in there. Not intentionally. So the only thing I'd ever been taught about real estate is that you should buy your own home. Right? And for those of us who've read Rich Dad Poor Dad, understand assets, liability, the home you live in is not an asset if it's not making you money. Well, but that's all I'd been taught. And so I went to a different law firm. I left that first law firm that, where I had the appendicitis. I was at a different one, still pretty unhappy, not quite rather be in the hospital unhappy, but still really hating my life. But I'd been there for a while. I thought, okay, I'll buy that house. I live in Los Angeles. We talked about this before we started rolling. Very expensive market. So this is back in 2005. And even back in 2005, a semi-decent starter home in a semi-decent neighborhood, not Beverly Hills or Bel Air, but just a neighborhood where you're not likely to have a drive-by shooting type thing. We're looking at upwards of $600,000, $700,000. And even though I was making 6 figures, but low 6 figures, it was hard to afford by myself. And I ended up so I ended up house hacking before I knew that was a thing, but I got a property with, so it was technically a duplex, but it had a converted garage in the back. So it had 3 units. So I lived in one, rented out the other 2, and found oh, snap, these people are paying my mortgage. It's awesome. And then when I met my husband, he had a duplex, and we got a single family rental together, and still never thinking really that real estate could replace income, replace the job. But I had the benefit, the joy, the blessing. It wasn't a joy, it was a blessing of being fired when I was 6 months pregnant in 2008, before everything fell apart. But I didn't know that everything was going to fall apart. So I thought I will wait until after I give birth, and then I'll look for another job. And my daughter was born late August 2008. A month later, the economy was in free fall. Terrible time to find another job. But the real estate saved us. And we ended up flipping houses when houses were on sale. And and then I found out about syndication. This was probably 2015 at this point. And houses are not quite so on sale, and that's flipping is so active, right? It's passive investing, and I wanted to have more passive income. And I was trying to get a 4-plex in LA, which is the biggest thing I could think of at the time, and nothing cash flows. Los Angeles is not cash flow, and it's not at all landlord friendly. It's like a terrible place to be a landlord, and there's no cash flow. We spend $2 million for a 4-plex that I'd be happy if it broke even, kind of thing. I'd be lucky if it broke even. So at that point, I ended up meeting, you're talking about light bulb moment. I ended up meeting through a mutual friend, a man named Robert Helms, who hosts the Real Estate Guys radio podcast. And at that point, he'd done hundreds of millions of dollars worth of real estate. Our mutual friends Robert is going to be in town tomorrow night. Why don't you come out to dinner? And so I went to meet him, and 10 minutes changed everything. So he was asking what I was up to. I told him, the flipping, but how that was getting frustrating, and looking for this 4-plex and nothing cash flowed. And he said, Monick, LA is a tough market. I always say, live where you want to live, invest where the numbers make sense. And I went, oh, until he said that, I'd never thought of that. I always thought you had to live where you could drive to your property, touch it, self-manage it. I didn't realize that was a thing. And I went, oh, okay. So that literally opened up the whole world to me. And then the next thing he said was, and you can buy this 4-plex, but you'd be limited to your own capital and credit. He said, alternatively, you can bring a group of investors together. You can buy a 100 or 200 unit apartment building. And then he started talking about the benefits of that. Brain exploded.
There's the light bulb moment right there.
I was like, that's a thing. I thought billionaires only could do that stuff. I was like, what? I could do. I was like, yes, I had this full body. Yeah, I want to do that. That's what I want to do. And I want to be around people who think that's normal, because until that moment, everybody I was around thought this 4-plex was a huge deal, right? And I was like, I want to be around people who think 200 doors is normal. And so I decided to do that, and it completely changed everything. So I met him October 2015, January 2016. I went to a syndication seminar that he was putting on. I was there, and then by December of 2016, we started January with 2 rental doors, and by the end of that year, we had 1,012.
Wow.
Through syndication. So some of them was passively investing, but we syndicated 3 deals that year.
So did he help you, mentor you? Did you join a mentorship group and kind of all that? I did.
Yeah, I joined a couple of them.
Wow, that's awesome. What a fascinating story. So one thing that stood out to me, first of all, you getting fired while you were pregnant. That's interesting. But we don't have to get into the details of that. What I wanted to focus on is law. I would imagine still pretty male dominated field. Yes. Mm-hmm. Do you feel that same way about commercial real estate? Like, I know there's more men, but do you think it's like toxic? To me, it feels very inclusive, but I'm also not a woman. So I'm
Yeah.
genuinely curious.
I wouldn't use the word toxic, but it's very male dominated, especially when you're looking at the commercial side. So I was, you talked about this mentorship program that I did. I joined the mentorship program. That was great. It was 19 men and me in that program. And for most of the time I was in it. At one point, another woman joined, but for the most of it, it was like 19 men and me. And that was not, it was not unusual. And actually, so you shared at the beginning of this mission to help 1 million women create financial freedom through real estate investing. That came to me as this divine download after I went to, it was actually that first syndication seminar, and I was on the elliptical in the hotel gym. It was like Friday and Saturday where and we stayed over Friday night in the hotel Saturday. So Sunday morning, I'm in the gym. I'm just sort of processing the weekend. And I'm thinking about that. And they're talking about, when you're syndicating, you want to think, build a brand, build a business. Who do you want to work with? And so between being a lawyer and doing what I was doing, I actually became an abundance coach for women. So I was already working with women around money. And I was just thinking about that room that I'd been in. There were about 120 people in the room. I think eight were women. And 2 of them were working in the back. It was a lot of men, very, very few women. And that was not unusual. And I just got this down, like bring women into this room because this is real estate so perfect for women. It gives you time, flexibility, freedom, to be the women, the wives, the moms we want to be. And so nobody was there. And I went home, this was 2016, and I'm like searching for groups for women. And at that point, there was pretty much nothing. And there was one called Crew, Commercial Real Estate Women. And I went, and then everybody there was a service provider. I was the only one that was investor. So there was like brokers and stagers and like they were all doing other things. And they're like, "Oh, you actually buy this stuff?" I was like, "Yeah." So that's what got me to create my group and to just bring more women into the game. And I don't think that the fact is that men don't want to work with women. I believe that many of them love working with women. They've actually done studies. It's like women tend to prefer working with other women, and men tend to prefer to work with women as well. So it's not that they're not welcome. It's just that I don't think a lot of women know about. We're not spoken to about real estate.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. My entire team is women. My producer's a woman, my assistant's a woman, and my girlfriend's business, her company is digital marketing, and I hired her company to do all my social media. So I'm a huge proponent of it, for sure. And I love seeing this so much because I met male dominated in just like you said, where you'll be in a room of 150 people and 8 are women, right? Like there are more men involved, but in talking to a woman at Best Ever, right? Kind of the same thing. She was like, nobody talks about how you can literally do the same thing. There's no sort of wage disparity, right? Because if you're an operator and you build your business, it's your fees are your fees. And so it really allows that. So kind of talk about what it's been like, creating the Goddesses group and really starting to show women what this industry can do.
It's been incredible. I mean, there's what we focus on is not just how do you do real estate, because you're right, there's not the steps of it are the same, and the wages are the same. There's a great way to erase the income gap and the wealth gap, right? The net worth gap that exists between men and women, because rent's a rent, right? Like market value rent is market value rent, and what you get as an operator, those things will be the same. So what we focus on is how do you do this from the feminine, like as women, because we operate in the world differently from men. We're often taught to show up in a masculine way, but as women, chromosomally we're different, our brains are wired differently, and those differences do shape how we best relate to money, to investing, to learning, to relationships. And real estate's a relationship game. And those differences are, for example, a lot of times the male way is to like man up, muscle through. It's like you have to like hard work and like keep going through. For women, that will burn us out. So we actually do better if we pleasure through. Like having more of a pleasure-based way of working in the world. It's more intuitive. There is everyone has intuitive capability. When they talk about women's intuition, now there is a real thing, and we have the hemispheres of our brain. We have these connections that men don't have. There really is a very intuitive gift that we have, but we're often not taught to trust it or follow it or listen to it. There's there's an aspect of sisterhood, of being around other women, that is very helpful for women. And then there's mindset things. There's a lot of fears that women have. Men will often look at investing as a challenge, it's a game, right? And for women, it triggers something. It is a threat. And so, there's ways of, how do you deal with that, the fears that come up, of feeling unsafe. And so that's a lot of what we talk about in our groups. How do you do this in a way that just brings in more ease, grace, and flow?
Awesome. I love that so much. That's amazing. So now talk about, I guess, obviously you talked about kind of the different perspectives that women have in certain moments, but, like women who want to become entrepreneurs and where can they get started? And there's so much info out there, a lot from men, right? Not that it's harmful, but may not be necessarily the material they want. So where are some resources, some things to help them get started so that they can feel empowered by other women?
Get started in real estate, or as entrepreneurs, or
both?
Yeah. I'll give a plug. I do have a free training on my website, reigoddesses.com, like how to get started in real estate investing, even as a busy professional woman. So I definitely would direct you there. And then just in general, as your start, and real estate investing is a business. So it's really important, but any business that you're trying to do, it is helpful, I think, to start with education and to start with mentorship and support. Get with people who are doing what you want to be doing, and who can show you the way. I feel like, especially with investing in real estate, mistakes are costly, and I feel like you'll get an education either way. At the front end through education, or right. or through the journey of the mistakes, right?
Correct.
So you can learn through your own mistakes, or learn through other people's mistakes. So through other people who have spent years, decades figuring things out, so you don't have to. So that's what I would recommend, is to find mentors, education from people who are doing what you want to be doing, and who are doing it now, because things are changing all the time. Things are very different now in real estate and business than they were even a year or two ago. It's like things that are working now are different than what was working before, and vice versa. So really connect with people who are being successful now.
Awesome. I love that so much. So important. I mean, I'm a huge proponent of mentorship, and that's a paid education that, but it's very specific, right? And unfortunately, I'm about to learn a lesson the hard way, and it's going to cost me money. And that sucks when you're in the finance and business world. Unfortunately, like you said, those the mistakes usually cost as well. So we'll just chalk that up to part of my mentorship education.
Yeah, I heard was it Keith Cunningham? He has a 4-day MBA, and he talked about how he was being interviewed on a TV show, or sorry, on a radio show, and the radio announcer, is there a question I shouldn't ask? He was like, yeah, don't ask me, because he'd lost $100 million at some point. Like, don't ask me what it feels like to lose $100 million. And I was like, okay. So he comes back from the commercial break, and the DJ goes, I'm here with Keith Cunningham, the man who lost $100 million. Like, how's it feel to lose $100 million? And he said,
oh man.
Because the question is that he's like, I think that life is like a university, and there are courses in this university, and they cost, some of them cost. He's like, I took this $100 million course. Like, it's very exclusive. Very few people get to take that course. And the question isn't how did it feel? The question is, was it worth it? Did I learn anything? Did I learn that lesson? And he says, and I did. And so, and since he'd made it back and then some, but I think that I've definitely had some lessons in the tuition in the University of Life. I've made my tuition.
Yeah. Have you, since getting into real estate, have you had, talk about some of those tough times you help kind of relate people to? Because I feel like so many people are afraid of failure, right? And they see, 50 million, 1,000 doors in 13 states, and 100 million under management, or sometimes I'll have a guest who has $1 billion port, right? But in there are costly mistakes that you don't really talk about. So do you have some where you're like, all right, cool, I know not to do that again?
Yeah, well, I did. I trusted the wrong person, somebody who committed fraud and stealing from me and the investors, and I'm actually still dealing with that one right now. So that was it's $3 million plus mistake, and it's painful. It's painful, like trusting the wrong person, and there are ways to deal with it and fix it. And so right now we're kind of like in lawsuits and dealing with all of that. But you learn about the importance of good insurance, and you learn about just taking things more slow. I learned taking things more slowly at the beginning.
Vetting your partners a little better.
Definitely do that. And certain things that I could have, one of the lessons I had been taught this before, and I was trying to do it, and then sort of got like rushed and pushed out of doing that. And that was one of the big mistakes. But one of the things I learned was fail small, like do little tests, right? I could have had there were times when I could have made it smaller. It's like, okay, this isn't working. Let's make sure this is working before we keep going. And then that would have made the problem much smaller and easier to deal with. But I didn't do that, or I was trying to do it. I got, pushed out of doing that, but I didn't trust that knowing inside that was like, okay, but like something's not working here. Let's pull this back. So that was one of the lessons. There are many lessons, and I'm still getting them, but so it does happen. So partly it's, really vetting people, really looking at that experience, and then trusting when you have those like internal like warning signs.
Absolutely. I think one thing that can get some people too, and even deeper, is you feel like you're already in it, right? Or, oh, it's too late now to back out, or whatever it is. So you stay in it, and then, it just perpetuates itself.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I'm learning now. Same thing, ignored my gut, but luckily, I'm blessed there's no fraud involved, but, just a partnership that we didn't complement each other. So, those are kind of, unfortunately, the lumps you have to take.
Yeah.
But you don't stop, right? That's another valuable lesson that you learn too, is you just pick yourself up and all you can do is move forward.
Yeah. There's a quote from Albert Einstein. It says, failure is success in progress. All right. So there'll be things that don't work out, but if it's like, that's life. It's not going to be a straight line. Everything's perfect. You're in the game long enough. There will be some misses, right? Some spectacular falls maybe. But those successful people are not the people who never fail, or not the people who never make mistakes. The successful people are the ones that keep going despite it.
Absolutely. I love that so much. So moving forward, what is kind of the future hold for you? Are you going to, are you focused more on the group and the mentorship, or still very active in finding deals and building that portfolio?
Yeah, I'm still doing the real estate thing, and we've been moving a lot more towards industrial in the past couple of years. So very excited to just be diving more and more deeply into that area. And then, but still my heart is with helping other women. So doing both.
And in the group, are you, is it like a typical, like a general group where you'll help them do the deals and like all of that? Or is it more of just like empowerment, like you said, kind of the mindset stuff?
It's both. So there's definitely the mindset piece, but it's helping them figure out how to play in this game. So real estate investing is not one size fits all. There are a lot of different ways to be in real estate. And so the group is asset class agnostic. So we're not like focused on any one thing. There are goddesses that are doing self-storage, vacation rentals, multifamily, single family, like it's all over the place. And so we're just support, whatever direction they're going.
Awesome. That's so amazing. Yeah, this is I was just having this conversation on a previous episode. Multiple ways to skin the cat of real estate. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You don't have to. I mean, you can. There's people who trade just raw land. Never even put a shovel in the ground. It's really like you said, whatever fits your passion. There's something in real estate for you that I love. So cool. Well, as we wind down here, we'll get to the final 5. It's the last 5 questions I ask all of my guests. I'm excited for your answer here. Best advice you've gotten from a mentor?
The best advice I've gotten from a mentor was probably the advice that I didn't have to do it alone. I wasn't limited to my own capital and credit, that I could partner with other people. And that just completely changed the game for me. So that was the best advice I've gotten.
I love that. Is your husband involved as well, or is he?
Yes, he is. Yeah, he's my business partner.
Mm-hmm. What's that like, being growing a business with your significant other?
It's amazing. Now, we did have some bumps at the beginning because we were kind of overlapping a lot. So one of the things we had to do was figure out, it's like, okay, this is your lane, this is my lane, this is my role, this is your role. So when we had unique and distinct roles, it's been working a lot better. So, but there's nobody I trust more. And it's wonderful to be able to partner with him in life and love and business.
Oh, I love that so much. That's awesome to hear.
Yeah.
What is it about your career that makes you feel like you're fulfilling your why?
I think my why is, helping others live their lives, right? I think that it's not even about with my mission about financial freedom. It's not even about the money, but it's because when I know that when we have what we need to meet our needs, then we give back, where we can start doing the thing that we were born to do, share the gifts that we were meant to share in the world. And I think the world needs us to do that. So empowering others to get to financial freedom and get to that, to be able to fully share their gifts with the world. Like that's my why.
I love that so much. Yeah, there's plenty out there for everyone. Favorite non-real estate or investment related book?
Favorite non-real estate. It's from, I think, 1928. It's called The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Scovel Shinn. This old book, but still like just filled with so much wisdom and nuggets. So yeah.
I love it. I'll add it to the list. If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
To be able to teleport. So nice. I could like blink and be in like wherever.
Yeah. Mine's flying, but same, like just being able to get somewhere and not have to get there as fast as possible. I love it.
Yeah, that's why I like the teleport. Like instantly, like I want to be in Greece. Blink.
Yeah.
There I am.
That would be amazing. Seriously.
Yeah.
Cool. Last one. What's the best way for people to get a hold of you and learn more?
The best way is probably go to my website, REI for real estate investor goddesses.com. And there you can get connected to me and all the socials. We're also at REI Goddesses on the socials too.
Awesome. We'll link down the show notes. Monick, thank you so much for all of your time and insight. This has been amazing.
Thanks so much, Jonathan.
Absolutely. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching today's episode. I hope you really enjoyed it. Listen, I know it's cliche and you hear it all the time, but please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you know when the next video is coming out. Even though this is technically a daily podcast, you know it's coming out the next day. We have a ton of content coming your way. So please like and subscribe. It helps a ton. Leave comments. Would love to know what you guys think. And we will see you on the next one. Thanks so much.